Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 40. Day 40, 30 days to go. Still a lot of time. Still enough time, certainly, to see mega massive change, of course. 4+ weeks, but, I mean, we are heading into the final 28 days here, if you can believe that. It will be the end before you know it. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about, how, just towards the end of the video, I talked about how, we're all wired a little bit differently, and we can, each of us are going to be able to handle different amounts of strain. But I want to just also tell you that you are capable of more than you think, and that I do want to challenge you to challenge yourself. All right? Put yourself in, tread in deeper waters than what you might otherwise. Push yourself. And, as I said, sometimes as things go on longer, it can become in some ways harder, but it can in some ways also become easier, okay? Especially if it becomes habitual, right? Remember when you're on your journey that it's all about the happy medium over the long term. It's not about turning things on and off. It's not about going hard and then, shutting it off. All right, if you need a break, take a short break. If you feel like maybe things are a bit too intense, take it back a little bit. Don't stop everything. Okay? All right, so this person writes, just going back to yesterday's last comment towards the end of this comment was, this week I will get back on track with going to bed early, committing to the AM workout, logging my food. All right, so this is great. This actually is, this goes to show that this person is thinking about, okay, well, what am I not doing that I was doing that was working? Okay, let's get back on course with that. All right, so it's actually not a big deal. Maybe for the 10 weeks, yeah, okay, this is going to cause some disruption. But in the grand scheme of life, this is going to happen again and again, possibly, okay? As I was mentioning to you yesterday, I do give myself some periods of time that, I will take a couple days off, or, as I mentioned, I was at my mom's place on the weekend, and I decided, what, I'm going to lay off my diet a bit. I'm going to have, I'm not going to eat terrible, but, I'm just going to have some, eggs and toast in the morning, which I wouldn't normally have. Probably have some back bacon, which I did have. My mom made tortilla. I had some of that. It's all relatively good food, but I don't know what's going in it. All right, so I just watched my portions, and I did that for a couple days, and now I'm back on track. And I'll stay on track until, my next getaway, which is going to be Easter at her place. So I'm going to go really, really strict, as I normally would, all the way to Easter, and then that Easter weekend, I'll give myself a little bit of a break. Okay, but again, being consistent over the long term. Okay, I push you guys more in these 10 weeks because, of course, we only have 10 weeks, and then within the 10 weeks, we've got these mini goals that I really want you to hit. So yeah, we got to be a little bit more intense. Name something specific you need help with. I have noticed some compression in my lower back at the end of my workout. Thoughts on this? I don't really know what you mean by compression. I mean, I know what compression means, but what are your symptoms? Do you have tightness in your back? Do you have pain in your lower back? What is it that you're doing when you notice this discomfort? Is it general discomfort? Do you notice it throughout the day, only when you're working out, maybe first thing in the morning? What are your symptoms, and what brings on more of the symptoms? Because I don't know what you mean by compression. I suspect you mean maybe tightness, like you feel like you need to stretch it out perhaps, but I'm only guessing. So maybe just clarify that maybe in your next feedback. Anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? Managing success. I find when I start to do well and feel good, that's where I start to get more lenient with myself and start going backward. I've noticed this before too, and I'm still trying to find that happy medium where my default behavior is sustainable. I'm always a big fan of, again, trying to find that happy medium. Of course, pushing yourself to do better. Set yourself up with continual goals like we do in the challenge, and try to hold on at least for a period of time, knowing that maybe you'll give yourself a little break coming up. All right, now these are things that work for myself. All right, so I will set myself up with little goals perhaps, or at the very least, as I mentioned, I'll set myself up with, I know I get a break coming up here. I'm going to be doing some videos for Fit in 10 actually in the near future, for some online videos, some professional videos, and I got to get in shape for that. So I know that that's got to start soon. So, the reason I'm mentioning this is because, I'll probably give myself another break, which I mentioned, and then I'm going to go really hard, get in shape. And, there's nothing wrong with undulating things. In fact, I recommend it. Undulation, if you don't know what that word means, it just means taking things up and then taking things back down. You do this with weights and programming. We do this with calories. So for example, if I'm going to I will be getting ready for these videos that I'm going to do, I'm going to have to diet a little harder, which means I'm going to have to be a little more stringent. I'm going to have to drop my calories down to some degree. So I'm going to take my calories down, but eventually I'll reach a point, close to my goal, or maybe at my goal, and then once I'm done, I'll up my calories. Now, these aren't going to be wild fluctuations in calories, but they may change up to maybe 20%. So, set yourself up with small goals, even going ahead in the future, even after the challenge. This is one reason why I do these little check-ins, right? These comparative scans. Give yourself some mini breaks. And as it looks like you're doing, just be cognizant, be aware of what you've been doing, what you've stopped doing, if you've stopped doing anything. And always have a plan, okay? We've got to get away from any of this, right? I hope I lose weight. I hope if I do this, this is what a lot of diets are, to be honest with you, right? They're just kind of a stab in the dark. They're usually extreme and they don't last. Set yourself up with small goals. Write everything down on paper. Schedule things as much as you can. Set yourself up with a framework that you abide by. All right, this will make things much more clear, concrete, and it's going to be more likely that you're going to fulfill all these things, okay, or at least most of them. All right, let's move along here. How am I doing? 8 minutes. Let's see what the next feedback is. How many resistance workouts? 0? How many cardiovascular? 0? No, I don't believe this. This person does classes. Okay, I feel like that's not true. When did you send me this? Last week. So that's not true. You did some workouts because I saw you. I am starting to notice how easy it is to fall off the plan. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you didn't come to class. I have a lot of inner speech wanting to say screw it. Yeah, this is common. I am so happy with progress. Up to the last measure, I am worried I will gain it all back. What does post Fit in 10 look like? Again, you've got to go through periods where you lay off the gas a little bit, potentially gain a little bit, maybe. A little bit, not a lot, a little bit, and then get back into the swing of things. All right, so you can kind of look at it as, like, let's say you have this overall plan of getting to, I'm just going to throw out a body weight, okay? It's not necessarily what I recommend, but let's just say, I don't know, it's 140 pounds. I'm just throwing out a number. Doesn't mean anything. It's just purely example here. 140 pounds. We're going to take some dips and then some uphills and then some dips in terms of calories. Okay? Don't worry about training right now. Maybe just think about keeping your training as consistent as you can. But calories, we're going to undulate. And then through time, not in one fall swoop, through time of going up and down, you're going to get to 140, and then we're going to do some stuff to try to hold on to that. And maybe it'll look like something like, yeah, you get to 140, and then we're going to like kind of undulate things, and maybe you'll go 140, 145, something like that. And we try to hold on. What you can do through time, believe it or not, is to add in calories. And this is where I really, really recommend being methodical, writing things down, knowing where you stand with your diet and your training. This can be super helpful for deciding where you need to go, when you need a break, that type of thing. Now, I guess you can listen to your body and how you feel, but the worst thing you can do is to get emotional about things, right? Don't get emotional. We've got to, I'm not saying don't acknowledge your feelings, that's fine, all that. Don't make decisions based on the way that you feel, okay? With the exception of maybe being sick, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So know that when you say screw it, you're going to go the farthest away from your goal. If you say screw it, you're going to get the farthest away from where you could possibly be. Whereas if you try, you're going to be closer, okay? And now that might be, 20% closer, or 30% closer, or 50% closer, but you're going to be closer. And then once you hit that point of motivation, because you're going to hit a point at which you're like, okay, I can do this again. I can kick things back in. You're going to be that much more closer to your goal. But ultimately, following a plan, a framework, as I mentioned in this, a couple minutes ago, following a plan, following a certain framework, writing things down and sticking to that as much as you can, not going through any extremes, okay? Not going through any extremes. Maybe you want to take a couple days off. Maybe you want to have a cheat meal, okay? But not going through extremes like, I'm going to just not worry about my diet anymore. Okay, that's extreme. All right, so I'll talk more about PostFit in 10. I think I did. I feel like I did, but maybe I didn't. But you know what? I'm talking about it again. I'll probably talk about it in a number of videos because I don't think you're going to fully get it. Not you, I mean just all of you, not to this person. I don't think you're fully going to get it in one video. But I don't think people really understand that you can kind of think about shooting for a number that's, whatever that number is, and then staying within 20% of that number, okay? Or maybe 15% of that number, somewhere around there, over time. But not letting yourself go wildly out of that, okay? Not hitting a number that's consistent, okay? Consistent, whatever those numbers are, consistency for intensity and training, times that you're training per week, what you're doing with your calories. Not going wildly off that. Okay, again, the magic lies in being consistent with something reasonable over the long term. That's the magic. That's where the whole, this whole thing lies with. When you look at people and you're like, man, I don't know how they stay in shape. I don't know how they do it. Okay, and I know we're not on the same playing field, but we're not that far off. I will tell you that much. It's all about being consistent with something reasonable over the long term. That's what it's about. That's where the magic lies. I'm telling you, there's nothing else. There's nothing else you need to add to that. Okay, I know that is somewhat vague because I'm not giving you specific instructions. Okay, I'm going to stop it there and talk more about this because I'm afraid I might just get into the weeds a bit more here. Message of the day on this day 40. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. The courage to continue that counts. To continue. That's where it lies, right? You've got to just continue. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep holding on. I don't know how many times I can stress this. Consistency. Okay? Positive energy, positive vibes. Believe in yourself, and for the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.